and welcome to another Healthy Hot Tip Tuesday. So I've talked about this a lot in my videos, but I'm actually going to quickly put together this video and share with you how I make my awesome free veggie stock. You can use the same information to make a non-vegetarian stock, but I'll explain to you how. So, hi, I'm Tara Lynn Franco. I am a relationship and awesomeness coach. I love to eat healthy, good food and exercise and basically have a great life. So one of the things I love to do is cook, and I use stock quite a bit, not only in making soups, but in using as a base for rice or quinoa because it gives it that extra flavor. So one of the things I learned, and I'd give you this hot tip as well, is when you're away and traveling, it's always great if you can find a fun evening or daytime cooking class that you can take where you could learn something about the local cuisine. So I've done this several times in my life. This little tip was picked up when I was in New Orleans with my good friend KJ, and we took a cooking class on Cajun Creole cooking. And not that we made this at the class, it was just a side comment from the instructor as to how he always has great stock available. In the case of that, he was making a shrimp stock to use in fish stock, I think maybe it's chicken, I can't remember. It doesn't matter, the same rules apply. We were using it to make one of the dishes we were doing. So here's the thing. Not only do I love this recipe because it's delicious, it's free. You have everything at hand, and it actually gives new life to things that you would normally either throw away or compost. So you've probably mentioned and seen me in my videos cut up vegetables and then stick them in a bag. So this bag, bringing it closer, is in my freezer, and what's in it is basically the garbage or waste from cutting up certain types of vegetables. So, you know, you've probably all made stock on the stove, veggie stock or meat stock, where you've cut up fresh vegetables like carrots, celery, onions, garlic, and threw them in the pot. But then after that stock is made, that stuff is basically used, and you can't really incorporate them into the soup. You have to use more vegetables to add to your soup, otherwise it basically is tasteless. So what I learned was you can actually keep the things that you would normally toss away. So for example, and then put them in the freezer, and then you can use your handy dandy crock pot if you have one of these babies, or you can simmer it on the stove if that's easier for you. I just like to put it in my crock pot because I can kind of set it and forget it for the day, and by the end of the work day I have fresh stock available to use that day or jar it and use later. So the kinds of things, so basically what happens is when I cut up, so the things that can go in stock are the same things you would put in a fresh stock. For example, carrots, celery, onions, garlic. Those are kind of the basic ones that would go in a stock. But instead of putting the actual whole vegetables in, what I do is I keep the parts of it. So you know when you cut off the end of the celery, as long as everything's cleaned in advance. So the ends of celery, the peels from your carrots, so you have to wash your carrots first very well and then peel them so you can keep the peels. You can keep the onion skins. I've got here some garlic. You can keep these like papers and stuff. There's lots of flavor. And then if you have garlic where there's ends growing up like that, you can keep that as well. So normally people would throw these kinds of things away, but you can keep all of that as long as it's clean and put it in your stock. So I'm just gonna throw that in there. So I keep these all in a bag in the freezer, and once I get a certain amount that fits inside my crock pot with some water, I can go ahead and use it. So things not to use is insides of peppers, cucumbers, anything like that. So think of things that you normally would put in stock. So in this case, I've got some the ends of leeks, which are beautiful. Like you can't use them because they're too tough, but they're so great in stock. So I've got some of those. You can see I've got papers here from a different kind, like red and white onions. And what's great about these is they give your stock a great color. So I've got some stems, and in this case some leaves that weren't great from parsley, and so I'm putting them in. So there's quite a bit of this. Yeah, so you can see I had some, so before your herbs go bad, if you're not going to use them, you can just throw them in the bag and use them. So cilantro, basil, parsley, thyme, rosemary, anything, because you just put them in. The other thing I use a lot now is fennel. And so you have the tops, the fronds, and some of the top ends that you can use. So basically all of this is gonna go in. What else is in here that I might? So I noticed in here, I have a lot of, and you just dump it in there, and then all like the ends of green onions, the ends of leeks, see this little sprouty thing that you would never use? So you put them all in. Now the one thing I've noticed here is that I have a lot of oniony type things and not a lot of carrots. But I'm gonna put these 2 garlics in because, I don't know, I feel like they're gonna not last. I'm just gonna cut them in half, paper and all, throw them in. So those are fresh. So I have these carrots I got in my organic basket, and I just scrubbed them down. I'm not super happy with the white carrots. I don't feel like they have a ton of flavor, and I need carrots in here. So I'm just going to roughly chop them up, and I'm gonna stick them in. They're kind of, I don't know, let me try one. They're actually pretty tasty. Eating on camera. I'm sure someone would have to say something about that. They're actually not bad, but I don't love them. Just getting some of the, I scrubbed this, but I don't like the look of that end. So cut them up. So those can all go in. So it seems pretty full, right? Like, look at that. That's really full. But as soon as I put in the water and start it up, it will, it'll sink down, and it really gives good flavor. So the other thing I do is I'll pop in some black peppercorns, whole. So that's about enough. Definitely want to add some bay leaves in. So these are dried bay leaves. If you have fresh bay leaves, that's great. So there's like 2 and a bit. Throw them in. I've got this great Himalayan pink salt. So you definitely have to salt this. Now, if you're going to use it in a soup or something, it's not super necessary to put the salt in now, but it does help. So I'm going to put about a spoon of that in. And that may seem like a lot, but this is going to make this whole thing full of stock. And then if you want to add other ingredients, that's great. I always have a jar of what I call my secret spice, which is Montreal steak spice. And the reason I like Montreal steak spice in a lot of things, I put it in eggs, soups, everything, roasted vegetables, is because it's salty, it's peppery, and it's got a lot of flavor. So I'm gonna add a bit of that in here. And then that's it. And then I've got some papers in here from my garlic. So I'm just, like, I have this little garlic, so I'm just gonna throw those in since they're sitting in here. And basically that is it. And then you take some water. You could also put like ginger in here, anything kind of that you have that's herby. So that's 1 liter. Let's see how much this will take. I usually just put it under the sink. That's 2 liters. So you can imagine how much stock you're going to get out of this. Sorry, I just need more. I don't think it's going to take the full 3 liters, maybe. The thing to be careful of is don't fill it up too close to the top, because if you the papers and everything tend to puff out a bit once they start cooking. So, I mean, I'm gonna put a little bit more in. So you don't want your lid to come out. And then that's it. That is it. Put the lid on. And then depending on how much time you have, you can do it on high for 4 hours, or you can do 6 hours is too much on high. I like to do 8 hours on low, and then you just set it and forget it. Every once in a while you can go in and stir it up if you want, but otherwise it just sits here and it's good to go. Good to go. So in about 8 hours, I'll have some beautiful stock. So the only thing I do after this is I'll use a fine mesh sieve, and I will strain it out, and strain out all the parts. Now you can't use them again, but come on, like we've just used stuff that didn't cost you any money, and you have like beautiful stock for free that's delicious, and you know exactly what's in it. You know how much salt, you know if you've used organic vegetables like I do, it's all in there. So I'll strain it out, and what I do is I strain it into a pot, and then I bring it to the stove and boil it until boiling point, and then I put it in clean jars, like mason jars, and then if it goes in boiling and you close them right away with the lids, they will seal, and then you can keep it in your fridge indefinitely. The other thing you could do, as long as they seal, but you don't have to process it further if it goes in boiling hot. The other thing you can do is you can freeze it in 1 cup portions. You can do it in ice cube trays. Whatever you normally do with stock, you can do with this. So, as Martha Stewart would say, it's a beautiful thing. Or it's a good thing? A beautiful thing? A good thing? Anyways, have a great Healthy Hot Tip Tuesday, or whatever day you're watching this, and I hope that you will try this recipe. Leave me comments below and let me know how it worked for you. It's totally changed my life, and I wouldn't do it any other way. The one thing I forgot to mention is that you can also use, make this a meat stock. So if you have either cooked or uncooked bones, shrimp shells, roasted chicken carcass, anything like that, you can place that in here, and then additional veggies, and follow basically the same process if you want to make a really great stock. Shrimp shells are amazing if you want to make a fish stock. People don't realize how much flavor is in the shrimp shells, and we never use them unless you cook your shrimp in them. So you can use that, like I said, a chicken carcass, bones, anything, meat scraps. You can put fresh meat in here too if you want, as long as it's not bad. And again, I keep all that stuff in the freezer if I'm not ready to make the stock that day, and then when I'm ready, I just fish around the freezer, find the thing I need, throw it in, add some of the frozen vegetables, and you're good to go. So now I'm really done. Have a great day.